Asher.
Was that Bella?
Oh my God, Asher the fake.
Great.
That's my favorite song.
It's Happy Hour again from Uptown New Orleans. Happy Hour is part of the family of shows on the podcast network. It's neworleans.com. Hello, I'm Grant Morris. When we started making podcasts in New Orleans about 10 years ago, we encountered a lot of skeptical questions. Among them, what happens when you run out of good guests, like in about 6 weeks? And what's a podcast? One of the questions we didn't hear was, what happens if every bar and restaurant on the city shuts down? That sure would have been funny, but it's turning out to be no joke. So welcome to New Orleans Coronavirus Part 3. This is our second show coming to you courtesy.
But I'm on it.
Happy Hour is still a random conversation with folks who have nothing in common, but one thing we do all have in common today is the crew of our show and all of our guests are quarantined in our homes. So hello to everybody who's joining us on Happy Hour. Thomas, are we all good here?
Hey.
Yes? No? Can't hear.
Maybe.
Okay.
No,
so listen.
I muted my. Look, I muted myself.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
To try to turn down on the extraneous noise, and I would recommend that other people do the same.
We can't though, because we don't know what's extraneous and what's important at this point. So everybody here on this show is people who have been on our show before.
Yes.
For no real reason other than that's just how it worked out. Rich Collins, welcome back.
What's up? Thank you.
Not only has Rich Collins been on our show before, he's hosted this show before.
That's true.
Don't know, Rich is one of the founders of a band and a TV show called Imagination Movers. That was a Disney show for many years until what year?
Well, until this moment. We just went back on Disney Plus on February 28th in 50 countries.
Wow. So you're back to being a TV star again.
Well, so we lost all our gigs for the rest of the year, like all of our income. But a big potential silver lining is that I'm thinking that all these kids will be home and parents need something to do. So the 75 episodes might come in handy, and maybe we'll have a new fan base when this whole thing is over.
That is exciting. Andrew Duhon, do you have a TV show you could turn to now that you have no live gigs? What happened to Andrew? He disappeared.
Andrew just disappeared.
Wow. I tell you what, I saw Andrew's live show here on the internet, though. Did anybody catch that?
I bet it was good because he's good.
Yes, it was really great. Well, hopefully Andrew will come back. I know he's having trouble with the Cox Communications people, so hopefully he'll show up. Another one of our guests who frequently comes by our show once in a while is Katrina Breeze. Katrina, welcome back to Happy Hour.
Hi, I'm excited to be with y'all today because I'm so lonely.
Are you really? You've been holed up all by yourself in your little apartment? Where are you living now?
Mostly, I'm living in Carrollton now. I inherited my mom's house, so I'm staying here. And I have a foster dog who's locked up far away from my microphone right now because otherwise it'd be super loud. But yeah, it's me and my foster dog.
What type of dog is it?
Yeah.
It's half German Shepherd, half Pit Bull.
Oh, how many pounds?
I think he's probably like 45, but he's super strong. And he's like a little cop, like he was like raised to be a cop. And I think his great grandparents might have been Nazis. I'm not sure. But so far it's going really well. So he's my cuddly little Nazi cop.
That's a cute companion to have for the COVID quarantine.
The apocalypse.
Karina, things might be really going well for you now. You're finding one of your businesses might really have come into its own. You're a fantastic casket business.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I thought you were going to mention the movie I made 10 years ago about the vagina from the future that comes to warn us about a Chinese flu and that there's this huge pandemic. Do you remember that?
Strangely enough, I don't remember the movie about the vagina from the future that came back to warn us about a Chinese pandemic. Does anyone else? Graham, our producer, Graham DePonte, do you remember that?
Of course.
I'm going to have to dig it up.
And talking of movies, Mike Rubin is joining us.
Hey,
Mike, how are you doing?
I'm good. It's a long time no see, man.
It's been a long time. The last time you were on Happy Hour was back when we were still at the Columns Hotel before they kicked us out of there. And that was
I hope I had nothing to do with that.
You had nothing to do with that. No, that was back, that was back when you had created a new product called Placebook.
Wow, you guys have been around a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot that.
That was why you came on the show to talk about your new product called Facebook. I think that was right after Facebook shut you down, though.
Yeah, they
What does
sued us.
Facebook do?
Well, Facebook was sort of a geographical, it was like an atlas. It had nothing to do with social connectivity or anything,
No.
but Facebook was very unhappy. And they sued us, and they said that when it really came down to it, they said the problem was that it rhymed. It rhymed with Facebook. So I went out and I told people that they just needed to pronounce it differently. So for another couple months, we were Plaquebook. But that didn't work anyway. That was a long time ago.
So what happened to Facebook?
Facebook, we sold off the pieces to various other mapping
really?
startups
Right.
back in the day.
And then you moved on from that to Netflix.
I think Netflix was before Plaquebook. Netflix was like the DVD years of Netflix.
So what was your job at Netflix exactly? You had some exotic position.
I was, well, in 2005, Facebook had launched, and Netflix was curious what sort of social media, social networks to movie watching. So I was in charge of the product. The product at Netflix was the website, and there was like 5 of us who had different kind of philosophical domains of that. There was ratings and recommendations. There was merchandising. There was stuff like that. And one of them was social. Like, what is social going to do? So I was in charge of social, and the team of us were in charge of the website.
So you were in charge of launching the social media aspect of Netflix.
Yes. And then shutting it down 3 years later when like Facebook took off and we couldn't build it to compete with, you know.
I didn't realize that Netflix originally had a competing. Who's got a baby?
Who's got a baby?
Who's got a baby?
No,
I've got the baby.
Thomas, it's your
I've
place
got
is the baby.
Yeah,
Okay.
for
Okay.
once, the answer is not me, dude. I'm wondering where this
Okay.
baby is coming from.
It's me. I've got the baby.
Is that Asher? You have a baby?
Asher.
I've got the baby. The baby.
Asher, are you in the snow somewhere?
No, it's not snowy. It's just very bright, I guess.
You're in
I'm
mid
in
city.
Arkansas. I'm in central Arkansas.
You're in Arkansas. Well, give us a report from Arkansas. What's
I
going
can tell by the
on?
rocking chairs.
There's a baby. You do have a baby.
It's very, very nice up here. I just shoveled a bunch of chicken poop out of I decooped a chicken coop.
Well, you got a place to sleep now then.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I did
Are
that.
you staying with people who have got chickens in a coop?
Yeah, my mom has a bunch of chickens.
Asher,
And she has a little
love your
baby.
mom. Love you.
She's inside. She's hiding from me and the baby right now because we could potentially have viruses with
So
us.
Asher, it's not your baby. It's somebody else's.
It's not my baby. It's my girlfriend's baby.
You've been entrusted with
your
the baby.
What?
Your girlfriend had a baby. That's awesome. Hey, so Asher, so
Uh-huh.
you've taken the virus from one of the hot spots, which is New Orleans, to
Wow,
some
did
little
not know
country
that,
town
Asher.
in Arkansas.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Interestingly enough, this place had gotten its own infusion of the virus before I showed up, which was at a church very nearby to here in a place called Claiborne County. 2 people have died as of last night from that church. It was my great aunt's church, and also my mom and stepfather would go there without very much regularity, but they would go, and they hadn't been in over a month because they've just been busy. So I guess they were spared by the grace of
So
God.
2 people from the church have died.
Yeah.
That's-
but we're
yeah,
so
Things
sorry.
are
right.
bad. New Orleans is in the news right now. Like, we're worried about you guys.
And
Yeah.
Mike's in San Francisco.
I'm in San Francisco. Yeah.
Which is you're in the isn't that the worst place?
No. And I've been
Not the best.
It's delicious. She wants some.
in my apartment for 2 weeks, you know.
Yeah,
Guys,
Mike,
you know, New Orleans is the worst place. Everybody, hello. New
Oh, yeah,
Orleans
she's
is
too
the
bad.
Yeah, New
worst
York's
place.
bad.
Well, that's just statistically.
Every
What
Do
other
you
way
remember
would you
when we
like-
were statistically the murder capital of the country too? You know what I'm saying? We were the murder capital of the country too. Don't you think it's just a function of Mardi Gras?
No, I think New Orleans is the worst place, period. We are fucked. I'm sorry we're not New York, but New Orleans is sucks. By the way, I grew up in Knoxville, Tennessee, where I'm headed. As soon as I get 14 days past the last time I took an airplane, which would be April 2nd. Knoxville, Tennessee has 15 cases. On my way.
Okay. I don't know whether there's anywhere that's safe though, really.
My
No,
apartment.
Grant, we've had that conversation.
I know. I just don't believe that I think anywhere you go, it's going to end up being the same, basically the
You
same.
know what? It's not going to look like New Orleans.
Well, but see, the thing is that with New Orleans is that
no, it's not.
the thing with New Orleans is that we had Mardi Gras here in February.
Yes, and that's why we've
That's-
got all these people.
That's
Grant,
what spread it around.
hang on, stop. You're saying, okay, well, we've got a lot of people because we had New Orleans. Well, yeah, we had New Orleans. So
No, we had Mardi Gras.
well,
We're in New Orleans.
I'm sorry, we had Mardi Gras. So we had Mardi Gras, and that's why we've got so many. But
Yes.
you know what? Knoxville didn't have Mardi Gras.
No, but they're eventually going to have to see each other at some point.
No, babe, they're not going to ever have Mardi
I'm
Gras.
not an epidemiologist, but I think the virus will be evenly spread out across the country everywhere.
I think
Unstoppable.
you're wrong. Sorry, you're wrong. Where people congregate is where it happens.
Yeah,
That's
but
why New York, LA, New Orleans.
But
yes,
then
when
it
people,
spreads.
where people congregate the most, it happens first.
Exactly.
But
But it
there,
still will
people are
spread
going to
everywhere.
eventually congregate everywhere
But
just the
where
same.
people don't congregate, it doesn't happen. I'm sorry. Come on. What the fuck?
People are eventually going to go to a bar in Knoxville, and they're eventually going to go to Target and everywhere else.
To go there. They're not like 500,000 people that are there for Mardi Gras that are going to go there.
The highest
Okay.
But it's just a
population
statistic.
density in the South is Miami, right?
Exactly. Yes.
So why isn't it concentrated there? Why is it here in New Orleans?
You know what?
It
Ben,
is- It is happening in Miami. It's
it will
starting.
be there in a week for sure.
Okay,
Graham,
Hello. Sorry.
Thomas.
can you
Sorry.
move your screen so that we can see more of your
Clearly,
face and less of your ceiling?
Okay, anyway, Katrina,
Yeah.
go back to your movie. You predicted this?
Well, I arted it. It might have been a prophecy, or when, like 10 years ago, I was at Occupy Wall Street and I decided to use the backdrop of Occupy Wall Street to make this movie about my vagina puppet coming from the future to warn everybody about a pandemic that was coming from China where we didn't have enough medical supplies. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that predicted this. I heard Obama predicted it and told Trump. So, I mean, I think it's a pretty obvious scenario that I'm sure thousands of people have predicted.
Really?
Mine
I
was
never thought
just
of it.
more interesting because it was a vagina speaking.
That
Right.
is
So
interesting. That is the
Obama
interesting part of that.
Do you
I
think if it was
agree.
a penis speaking, people would have taken it more seriously?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you.
20% more seriously, I think.
Yeah.
Does that vagina puppet of yours have a name?
Vag Bush.
Veg Bush. Are you still hauling that thing out?
I mean, sometimes, not as much. I mean, now I'm doing all this well, now that I'm in confinement, maybe. But before I was like being all serious and, being part of the legislature and trying to
Yeah.
act like an adult.
Katrina, you've got some cool stuff going on with your legislation. Can you talk about that?
Sure. So the legislation is called Donna's Law, and it's named after my mom who died by gun suicide in June of 2018.
Katrina,
This
how
is my
comfortable?
mom.
Katrina, how comfortable do you feel about telling us a little bit more about that?
Sure. So she had bipolar disorder and was given a medication called Effexor that had a side effect of suicidality. And she had an episode and she Googled gun stores New Orleans and hit directions and went to a gun store in Gretna and then drove to Audubon Park and shot herself at the Tree of Life.
Sorry. That
Thank
fucking
you.
sucks.
So the legislation would empower people to put themselves on a do not sell list and prevent themselves from a accidental suicidal gun purchase. So it doesn't interfere with anyone's Second Amendment rights, and it did make it to the legislative session last year in Louisiana, and it was deferred till this year, which I don't even know if we're going to have a legislative session. And
Or a country. Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
No.
But wait,
And
Well,
then-
let's say.
right? Virginia
so-
passed
but it
it,
did
right?
pass
Yeah,
in
Virginia
Virginia.
just passed it, and it was like on its way to the governor's desk. And I don't know if what's going to happen there, but our efforts have had a lot of fruit.
But, so it passed in Virginia,
Congratulations.
right?
That's
It's the law in Virginia.
Well,
So
the governor has to
congratulations.
sign it.
Right. But apart from it's just waiting for a signature. So congratulations. That's a pretty big
Thank
deal.
you.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Incredible.
It's a really great deal. So
Incredible.
it's a
You're amazing.
self-selected do
Thank
not
you.
sell list that you put yourself on.
Yeah. Katrina, you are
Very
awesome.
clever. Very
Thank
clever.
you.
Okay, I want to come back to your fantastic casket idea because I think you could be very wealthy as a result of that. But first, Rich, come back here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so everyone's trapped in their houses
Yeah.
and doing live streaming concerts, every musician in the country. Are you
Yeah.
doing that as well?
I was going to try and do some clever thing where I had one of my bandmates join me via Zoom just now and perform for you guys, but we realized it's really hard to sync up a performance using video conference software. But so the movers we're trying to figure it out. We're a little behind.
Imagination movers.
Got
Oh,
it.
if you've got a giant hit show on Disney, you don't really need to be worrying about a live stream on.
Imagine Dragons.
on
I guess
Facebook.
we're just streaming right now, right?
Yeah, that's good.
But
I've been calling it a love stream. You know, like
Nice
it's
touch.
like sharing your love with the world. So feel free to call it a love stream if anyone
right.
wants to.
That's a good one.
And we're like fluid
Andrew
bonded here.
Duhon is back. Andrew, are you back with us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
The Cox guy is working on my internet outside right now.
Okay. What did
Really
he say
great.
was wrong with it? Did he know?
Oh, I can tell you what's wrong. I can see the cable coming out of the building, out of my apartment and heading down, but it bypasses the box completely. Somebody probably set up a dish or something, but it's not in the Cox cable box. So he's
Oh.
working on that now.
Okay. Very good. Okay. So Andrew, tell us just briefly before we get Rich to play something for us, how did your live stream from your apartment go?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it was nerve wracking, and because we're dealing with all this technology that we don't trust, and we're concerned that we're promoting something that we can't actually follow through with. But in the end, it worked great, and we got paid better than a regular gig would have paid us. So hey,
Can't be all bad.
But I guess on a more sober note, there's plenty of gigs that are going to be canceled because of this, and you can't necessarily make up for all of them with live streams. I think you would exhaust the love stream by doing that. But once a week feels right. So I'll probably do another one at the end of this week. And
Andrew, how did you make the sound as good as you could? Did you like go through an Apollo interface or something and use real mics and all that?
we went through an audio interface and an Apollo would be great. We used the Apogee Duet, but Apollo is great as long as you have the connection that can go into. We used a phone. I imagine you can use a computer. We didn't go with the computer because I think the camera on the computer is not as good as the camera on the phone. So we thought maybe we'd get a decent visual fidelity by using the phone and the audio fidelity by using the Apogee Duet. And that worked pretty well.
You know who's
You
an
just do like one
expert?
mic in the room kind of thing?
We did 2 mics. It's a 2-channel interface. So we used both. We just 2 condensers placed
Rube, do you have
reasonably
any advice on this?
thoughtfully. One
None.
for kind
Absolutely
of a vocal
none.
thing,
None.
one to catch the band.
Leave
These
that.
guys sound like bros.
These guys seem to know what they're talking about. Okay, Rich, are you going to play us a song?
I will. So my little rig died a second ago. I had to restart my computer. So now I'm just going through my laptop mic. So
I'll be listening if not visible.
just y'all, if it's I guess you guys control the volume.
What happened to your fancy mic?
What's that?
What happened to your fancy mic? It stopped working?
It all crashed. Yeah, it crashed while y'all were talking about when you and Graham were getting into an argument about the viral spreading patterns. But so this song is from a couple years ago, but it's relevant. It's a song of mine called "House All Day."
$5 bottle of wine. You put down your phone, I put down mine. Turn on the Pandora station. Keep it loaded and we have a conversation. Yeah. Hear the sound of the rain on the window. Yeah, yeah. It's bad out there now. Where we go now? Outside it's storming. We nice and warm and oh, we're in a good place. Yeah. Staying in the house all day and dancing in the kitchen. You know exactly what we're missing. Yeah. Oh, we in a good place. Yeah. Staying in the house all day, yeah. I got flowers in the front yard. I got flowers and finger paint. I got a 15-year-old car. I'm gonna leave it in the driveway. Yeah, we got too much to do now. Oh, don't have to do it today now. We gonna waste the afternoon. Got something to read and I'm gonna write a song for you. Yeah. Nothing better to do, yeah. Into the streetcar on the avenue, yeah. And the night is long, and the kids are at your mom's, oh yeah, oh now yeah. Outside it's storming and we nice and warm and oh, we in a good place, yeah. Staying in the house all day, yeah. Dancing in the kitchen. You know exactly what we're missing now. Oh, we in a good place, yeah. Staying in the house all day and na 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 na. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Open up a $5 bottle of wine. Open up a $5 bottle of wine, yeah. Open up a $5 bottle of wine, yeah. Yeah. Sitting in the house all day.
Okay. So, Rich, that's like an upbeat song about trapped in the house all day.
Yeah, because somebody mentioned one of my other jobs is at like the New Orleans Magazine family of publications. So I sit in a room with a bunch of other editor writer type people, and somebody shared a comment from somebody in the biz saying how this whole thing is an introvert's fever dream. You know? So there, I'm kind of an introvert extrovert, honestly. So I like the time to unwind and just be in my little domestic situation. So yeah, that song, obviously in a different context, was just about how it's fun to skip all the other stuff and stay home with your sweetie. But then now in this current context, it takes on another shade of meaning, of course.
It's starting, after like a week of this, it's starting not to feel like much fun to me. Is anyone actually enjoying this?
Grant, I've been doing this for 2 weeks now.
Okay, so you're a week ahead of us.
I'm a week ahead, and I live alone in my apartment, and I've gone out maybe twice in 2 weeks to get groceries.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I've been following you on Facebook. You seem to have been going a little crazy.
I started that way, and I just think I've maintained.
You've been saying some pretty scary stuff.
Oh yeah, well, there's that too. But I'm trying to keep busy. I'm working on a book, and I don't want. Yeah, and so that's it. Like I have no reason not to. Procrastination is usually easier, but it's hard to justify not working on it when there's absolutely 24 hours to stare at an empty page.
What are you working on? What's the book?
The book is about photography as a Zen art. You know, teaching photography, beginning or advanced, but the way to teach it is pretty much in the style of many of the Zen arts: Ikebana, Kintsugi, Enso, which is calligraphy, bonsai, haiku, and
okay. So you're relating photography to all these.
Each of those has something to kind of teach the way you like ikebana in particular, that's Japanese flower arranging. And I find that it is a better architecture for discussing and teaching composition than any of the bullshit stuff you see about rule of thirds and leading lines, which I resist. And almost any photographer will tell you, oh, you learn those rules and then you throw them out. And I think that that's a pretty lousy rule that you kind of just put out that way. But I find that the Zen arts have rules.
Kind of like monogamy.
Is it? Go on.
The same sort of principle. You learn it and then you eventually throw it out. So is this book for photographers? This is a book for photographers, of which everybody's a photographer.
Everyone's got a camera on their phone. It should be a real renaissance in creative photography. There is a Zen principle of doing things not for commerce, doing it for love of it. And
it is pretty intriguing that you write a book about photography, though. I mean, a manual.
It will be illustrated, and and it's really. I think they're really fundamental principles that you pick up from these Zen arts about imperfection, about obviousness, about balance and harmony, both structural things like composition and also content things like sort of the obviousness. And haiku has a lot to say about that stuff. So does Enso.
How'd you come up with this idea? I see Katrina smoking a lot of weed here in the course of this.
That's sort of was my method.
I'm smoking a normal amount.
Does Zoom have an upgrade where we could pass that, or are we?
No.
You don't pay for the. Oh shit.
Actually, it was my last purchase before I went into quarantine. I ran to the head shop and I got myself a fresh bong.
Nice.
It's a pretty fancy looking bong.
Do you guys have weed delivery where you are?
No, we don't. It's not legal here like it is in California.
Oh my God. I have an app.
Oh my goodness, really?
I have an app and I say, I need more weed. And it shows up in 30 minutes downstairs.
That's pretty good.
This is civilization. This is why we're protecting our civilization here, because it really is great.
Do you think it will last? How much weed do you guys have stockpiled?
Oh, I got about half an ounce.
I mean, California. Because, I mean, I don't know if you realize it, but almost all the weed here comes from California.
That's funny. Ours comes from Arkansas. No, I think that I've got plenty of weed, and I feel like I wasn't sure if when it first happened, they closed the dispensaries, and after 24 hours in San Francisco, they determined that it was an essential item and it had to be opened. So
it's regarded as an essential item now. So you can guarantee to have it still delivered whenever you. Yes. That's amazing. I saw a video. Did you post this thing on Facebook of San Francisco, which is completely empty and devoid of cars and people?
Yeah, the streets are. I mean, I could show you now. The streets are just empty. Did you see the one of the kids skateboarding down the super hills of San Francisco, right down the middle of the street?
Right,
3 blocks, the steepest streets in the city, and kids are on skateboards going down these things. It's
because here in New Orleans, it doesn't seem to be that empty on the street to me. Have you guys?
Are you guys locked down?
No,
We're locked down, but I agree. There's still a lot of cars on the road. But I will say that about half the cars I see on my street are like police cars at this point.
Really?
Yeah.
It's pretty empty out by me. I was going down the wrong side of the streets on my bike yesterday.
What part of the city are you in?
Mid-city.
In Mid-City, Sierra. Okay.
I'm on Claiborne Avenue and I see cars all the time.
Yeah.
I mean,
I see a lot of people out.
It's slowed
walking.
down, but people are still really active.
Yeah, I see tons of people out walking dogs and hanging out.
You guys are going to have a very big problem if people don't stay home.
We've already got a big problem.
Yeah, Rubin, have you like really not left the house?
I've really not left. And a lot of people have not left for the past week. Most people haven't left. I started a little sooner than that, but only because I didn't really. I was closing down my store. I have a store, which is fucked, right?
We have to talk about your store. This is a really interesting story. Okay, we're going to do that. We're going to come back and do that right after Andrew Duhon plays us a song. I'm sticking with the format today like it's...
All right. You are in luck because Coxman just fixed my internet. So I think this will work.
This is totally going to work. All right.
Yeah. Here's a old song. It's a song I wrote just on harmonica, but I'll add some of that along with this.
old woman who lives on my street. They call her a beggar, but she's nice to me. Yeah, she sits neath my window most every morning, and she reads my paper before I rise from sleep. Yeah, she sits neath my window and she sings to me a song about her lover and a ship on the sea. It's that same sad, salty song every morning. I don't know the words, but it's this melody. When she's done with my paper, she folds it up neat and wanders her way somewhere down the street. When I open my front door, there at my feet, spend cigarettes and a 50-cent piece. Yeah, I know an old woman who lives on my street. They call her a beggar, but she's nice to me. Yeah, I know an old woman who lives on my street. They call her a beggar, but she's nice to me.
Nice, Andrew. Good
Thanks.
job.
Appreciate you. Thanks.
Very nice. Rube, what'd you think of that?
I wish I could do that. I really wish I could just play,
Oh,
pick
man.
up an instrument and
Just fake it till you make it, man. That's it.
yeah,
all it
no,
takes.
I'm old enough that I've been faking it and I'm not making it.
Hey, how long are you going to be trapped in your apartment there?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Certainly till Easter. I don't know.
Well, we're all going to be cured on Easter Sunday. So that
Well,
is
I was going to go to
extremely
church and just spread whatever I had at the church.
good. Yeah,
and-
just by Easter Sunday, it's going to be all over. But
it's so weird. Like 2 weeks ago, they had pictures of people in Iraq, maybe, where there were like thousands and thousands of people at some religious thing, and the news was sort of, not making fun of them, but sort of pointing out the insanity of what we were seeing. And now we're going to do it. We're going to have like these churches filled on Easter, and it's
Easter
going to
Sunday,
the same kind of insanity of everyone.
Well, Trump will have come up with a cure by then. He's down the lab right now working on it.
He's very smart, I'm certain.
Or there'll be a miracle at that point. Hey,
Easter miracle. Yeah.
What I'm thinking is, though, if we're going to be trapped or you're going to be trapped in there for another couple of weeks, you could take time to learn something. You get one of these online things like how to learn the piano in 21 days or something.
I don't know how to get the piano up here, really.
Oh, you didn't have? Can't you get one delivered or something?
No. Well, with the weed, if you get enough weed, they'll throw in a piano.
Get a keyboard.
Yeah.
What about something small? What
Well,
would
I
you
have
like
a
to
guitar.
play?
I have a guitar, and I keep pretending I'm going to get better at it. But
Okay.
honestly, I've been playing the guitar for 40 years. I sound exactly like I did when I was 16. It has not changed a bit.
Hey, look, here's Melody the dog. So there's two guitar
Like
players.
Cat Stevens. That's what I'm
There's
playing.
two professional guitar players right here. So what is the secret to getting better than you were 40 years ago?
It isn't just time, because I can prove that does not necessarily get you anywhere.
It's not. Isn't practicing got something to do with it, Andrew?
No, not at all. No. As soon as I picked it up, same thing, exactly
Same.
as I was as soon as I picked it up. Yep.
Yeah.
I don't believe that. Rich, is that true in your case?
That's my.
Rich, your mic is muted, Rich, for some reason.
The dog is on it.
Oh, she was barking. Sorry. No, I'll say this, that with YouTube now, like you can learn a lot of stuff that we couldn't learn when I was a kid. I mean, you can go on YouTube and get tons of wisdom.
I think my ambition is to be enough better that the songs that I've tried to teach myself through YouTube are out of my league, and I can't do them. And so I don't really know what the songs are that are at the right level that when I master them, that's the next level. You know what I mean? I'm sitting there trying to do, Georgia by whatever his name is, impossible, but I love it.
That's got too many tricky chords in it.
It'll just be absolutely devastating if it's too like Andrew Bigger, where you're finger picking, but you also have a finger or two free to do the melodies, and it's hard as shit.
A finger or two free, yeah.
I mean,
that doesn't sound like
videos that you try and do it can make you sad. But
one thing you are really good at is photography, and so
I am.
Tell these guys the concept behind your place called Neomodern. Wait till you guys hear this.
So it's a gallery on the street of like a busy street, and people come in, and our staff are all experts at Photoshop and Lightroom. And so you come in with your phone and you sit down at a kind of a cool console with them, and they ingest your pictures and they work on them with you. So they do expert retouching or modifying or fixing. It's not just like photoshopping, but just making them nicer. And then we have an archival printing system. So we print it nicely, we custom frame it right there, and it's done in half an hour. So people come in with their phones and they leave with their like nice framed prints.
That sounds awesome.
It was until just like not that long ago. And I don't know that we'll recover from this.
You don't think you're going to get some sort of small business loan or grant or something from the government to carry on?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's going to be a shit show at the other side of this. I don't know how long this is going to go on. Maybe, but like I can't keep my staff. I'm still paying my staff. We've been closed for almost a month. Wow. And I don't want to let them go. They're hard to find really great teammates, but like it's now been a full month without anyone really working and benefits and all that stuff. And I'll go a little longer, but I'm not like, I can't really keep going like that. And the rent is astronomical. And so it would take a lot of negotiating. And I kind of am thinking, I mean, I've been doing this for 3 years there and I really like the business, but I'm wondering if this is just a sign to like do some, get into my own photography.
This is what happens when
I
you
give
spend
you permission to lay them off if that's what you need.
I'll give them your number. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay.
What is it that you
Firstly,
do?
I give you permission to not lay them.
Oh, this is
it's such a great idea though, as a concept, that everybody has all these photos on their phones and they don't last, they disappear.
They do. It's important to get them off your phone and I argue that it's not even photography till you print it. It literally isn't a photograph until it's been, and it's not just because you're making a physical object, but it's just the decision making. The bar is so high to make a physical print. It really is the thing that separates just like all the effluvia that you shoot all the time and the things that are truly to be saved. And it stands and like, again, this is sort of the Zen arts. I mean, origami talks a lot about taking something that's just plain paper and imbuing it with life. And that's one of the things that happens with photography. You give something almost magical properties by putting an image on this thing, making an object that is the image and not just this.
But the thing about your business is it's just a great concept that could be franchised across the country and you could be a billionaire out of this.
Yeah, but it would...
If you could just
the world is going to be, but the thing is that the thing that makes it so nice is the physical coming in and sitting with someone and being in an art gallery. And I really wanted it not to be a chain of stores. I've already got a chain of stores that I don't want to be, that I feel like the way to really make it a big thing is that it works online. And I tried for 3 years to augment my physical store with the online business, and I've been unable to get that to take off. So that's really why I'd be closing. It's because I haven't been able to make the online take off. Not because the store isn't great. I love the store.
This is a depressing situation.
I'm sorry. For me too. But I left my job before doing this to be a full-time photographer. I wanted to kind of retire and spend the next 20 years taking pictures. I already think I'm a really good amateur, and I just wanted to. I mean, I was Rube the photo dude in the 80s with you, Grant.
That's right.
So here we are. I've been taking pictures continuously for decades and decades, and I'm finally, I think, really getting good. And I think I should just want to spend the rest of my life dealing with photography, and having the business is a little bit of a distraction right now.
So maybe this is a good time to close down the business and just be a photographer. Is that what you're saying?
That's kind of what I'm saying. Yeah,
all right.
Maybe.
Well, Katrina, do you give him permission to do that?
Yes, I do. I think as an artist, it's really difficult to resist creating a marketplace for other artists and just being your own artist. I've had that same struggle a lot, and I all the time just like have to tell myself like I'm the artist that I'm here to support, and I have the skills to be the artist, and I should just go be it. But as you're trying to be the artist, you start finding these things that would have helped you, like these types of marketplaces that would have helped you succeed. And then you want to build them so that you can use them, but then you end up having to do all this work so other people can use them. So I'm just going to make my own art for a while.
Yeah.
So you've been through the same kind of process.
Yes, for sure. I mean, not on the scale of having, a lease in San Francisco, but I mean, that's a lot of responsibility. But I have organized different artist collectives here in the city and different marketplaces that other artists could activate their sales within.
I like that idea. I mean, my vision was always, people always used to ask me like, do you want to be, Ansel Adams? And I like the only photographer they'd ever heard of probably. And I always felt like I wanted to be Stieglitz. Like I wanted to marry Georgia O'Keeffe, and I wanted to like discover other artists and be a photographer. And I felt like Stieglitz really was the archetype of that. But it's time to maybe work on my own stuff for a while. And like wartime is always a great time for sort of digging into what you feel and processing the experience of being out there, not being in business. If there was ever a time not to be in business and to be an artist, this would be that moment.
Should be time to. So you just need to get the courage up to actually do it now.
Well, it's not so much courage as like the logistics of closing something down. There's other people who want to buy what I'm doing, and like I have to maybe, but that was before the apocalypse, and so I'm not really sure how to move all the pieces. But I have nothing but time right now. I'm working on the Zen book, and hopefully I have till Easter to figure this out.
God. Okay, listen. This is my plan for here. Hi, Grayson. First of all, look who's back. It's Grayson back from the dead. How did you show up here?
I got a link from Andrew, and I figured out how to use Zoom.
How great to see you. Grayson was our former happy hour fact checker before C-Rock came along. So Grayson,
C-Rock.
This is awesome to have you back here. Hey, Rich, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to get Rich to play another song, and then we're going to do this experiment. So let's do this. C-Rock, put up on Facebook the Zoom link to this show, and let's see if anybody joins us. So now, if you listen to this on Facebook Live, take a look at the comments under the stream here, and anybody can join us.
I thought I was special for this episode. Now just anybody can join?
You are still special, Grayson.
This wasn't my idea, Grayson. I just want to let you know that right now. This was not my idea.
I think this is worth a shot. I don't think anyone's going to do it. This is my prediction that we're just going to do it and no one's going to show up, but we'll see. Rich, what are you thinking of playing there?
This song is called Radio. It's about being frustrated with all the stuff that's around and just wanting to find an old song and drive around and sing it. And I put the computer closer to my guitar. Hopefully you'll hear the finger picking. Can you hear the finger picking?
Not all that great, audio-wise,
right.
Is it?
Sounds good enough?
Sure.
Yeah, we work all day, and time goes slow. We should drive as fast as we can go and far away from here. Ooh, yeah, yeah. And we all watch the same stupid show and tell me something I don't already know. And Sometimes I get so bad, I gotta get into my car and go. And I turn on the radio, and I find an old song. And I'll be driving around just singing alone, yeah. And it's one we know, and it's like nothing's wrong. We'll be driving around just singing alone, yeah. To the radio, to the radio. And you know I was feeling blue, and I'm feeling blue, and I'd rather be anywhere with you. And sometimes there's nothing left for me to do. And I turn on the radio and find an old song. And I'll be driving around just singing alone now. And it's one we know, and it's like nothing's wrong. We'll be driving around just singing alone now. To the radio, to the radio, to the radio. To the radio.
Nice going. Very nice.
Thank you.
Okay, so Rich, that was good. Is that an old one?
That's a new one.
That's brand new.
Yeah, well, I write in drafts. I've been writing it for probably 2 years, but I haven't actually recorded it yet. So,
Okay, I guess that's the first time it exists out there in the universe somehow.
yeah, it pretty much is. So one of the bummers for me is I got my first ever solo artist jazz fest slot this year, and so I've been rehearsing with my dream band of all these fun people here in town, and then of course the fate of Jazz Fest right now. So I'm sort of on hold with all that, but one of the good things about it is that through rehearsals I was able to sort of sort through which of the songs were more audience ready and which ones were still kind of in the preliminary stages and all that. And
what did they tell you at Jazz Fest? Did they tell you that they were going to honor your contract and you were going to be playing, or do they say we can't tell what's going to happen?
it's more the second scenario right now. I mean, I would think that, I mean, they definitely are artist friendly and concerned about everybody. So I know they're going to do what they can do.
Yeah, you'd think it would be easy for them too, just to re-slot everybody back in the way they had them if they could.
It would certainly be easier to book the local guys than, Fleetwood Mac or whoever.
Who was coming? I guess the Who were coming.
The Who? It was the Who. And Lizzo was the big.
That's true.
And the Grateful Dead version with John Mayer.
Yeah, there's quite a few people to rebook. Okay, so this experiment of ours is kind of working. There's all kinds of people who've showed up here now. Who is Shani's iPad? Well, how are we going to do this?
I don't know. That's my boy over there.
Yeah. And if you go into gallery view, you can see everyone all at once. Just
gallery view.
This is Jonah Rubin. Rubin, this is your son, Jonah.
That's my son, my college-age son. Yes.
Hey, Jonah, where are you calling in from?
From Santa Cruz, California.
Santa Cruz, California. What's going on there? How many people have got it?
Not too many people here yet. We'll see.
What, are you staying home all day?
Yep, I have not left the house in the past 3 days.
And who's there with you?
My sister and my mom.
All right. How's that working out?
Haven't killed anybody yet, so
Everyone's getting along?
enough.
What's the sort of
Have you
daily
played any
schedule?
video games?
Yeah, what are you doing all day?
Mostly doing homework and lounging around on my phone.
Right. What are you studying in college?
I'm a film production major.
Film production major. Well, that will be useful.
Can you believe my son is studying editing?
Wow, that's handy.
Yeah.
Sort of close to the family. So, and this is Sophie Lafayette over here, who was on our show a while ago and called in originally from where did you used to live?
I used to live in Tanzania. So that was the
Tanzania.
first time I called in, back when I lived in Dar. Yep.
Yeah, in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania.
Yep.
And then
now I'm uptown, so
and
closer to
you-
home now.
You moved to New Orleans and got married, and now you live here.
Yep. Not going anywhere now.
That is pretty exciting. You're stuck. And then I see
Yep.
Sirach, your parents are both here individually.
It's true. From different rooms in the house.
Is that what it is? So, Larry, this is not your house that you're calling from, is it? This is like some sort of fake backdrop, or is that really where you live?
No, this is Andrew's brother's room.
From different rooms in the house.
Is that somebody's room? It's not really, right?
No, it's a back room.
Right. That looks very
Say he's got a
impressive.
great
I was
view.
about to say, C-Rock, bro, we need to hang.
Yeah. We're going to almost get you to sponsor this whole thing and buy Rube's business.
Perfect.
That's good. And Sherry is here. We see you a lot, Sherry. You haven't been here for a while. You coming back anytime soon?
Yeah.
We're coming down.
Are you going to take a chance and come down here?
Well, we were coming down for Jazz Fest, so we still have our reservations.
Sherry is here. We see
You do. I would have serious reservations about that idea. And John, where are you calling in from?
Are you going to take a chance?
I'm calling from West Virginia, Eastern West Virginia.
Oh, that's my boyfriend.
That is.
Aha, I see. What is going on in Eastern West Virginia? What if you're in Eastern West Virginia, does that just make it Virginia?
Oh, no. It's a very different state. Totally different.
It is.
I just drove back here from New Orleans over the last 3 days. I just got back here last night. So
And do you think that was a responsible thing to do, COVID wise?
well, but yeah, I was very careful. I ended up building a little decontamination station in my van with alcohol and gloves, and was careful.
That kind of alcohol.
Not that kind of, well, decontamination alcohol.
Yeah, but if you're going from here, which is apparently a hotspot where millions of us have got it, and now you're
Right.
going to a place where nobody has it, aren't you taking it with you?
Well, I hope not. We were fairly contained and no symptoms, and I'm planning on staying in for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I guess you are. What made you leave?
This is
wasn't
my
me.
home. Yeah. What, Katrina?
It wasn't my fault.
No, it wasn't hers. This was actually my original plan. I was down in New Orleans for the winter, and wanted to come back up for the spring, and this was a good time.
What do you do up there?
I inherited my family's old apple farm, which doesn't really grow any apples anymore, but it's a lovely space out in Eastern West Virginia.
You have an
I used to
apple
run
farm. I thought it was called an apple orchard.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I used to run an artist residency, which is how Katrina and I met.
Oh, so you have an apple orchard that doesn't grow apples anymore.
That's right.
So what's that called? Firewood?
Yeah, background. I saw a coyote this morning jumping across the apple trees.
Why don't you grow apples anymore? That would seem pretty cool.
There's
How
a
do you
lot of
stop
work.
the trees from growing apples? Don't they just want to do that?
They do. Some of them do, some of them don't. These kind are dwarfs, and they only have like a 20-year lifespan. And my family planted them in about 20, 25 years ago. So I'd have to plant all new apple trees.
What do you mean by dwarfs? I mean, you can pick them without a ladder?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Huh. But they only last for 20 years.
Right. I'll give you a little view.
Yeah, let's have a look at the dwarf apples.
Well, you can't, they're out there somewhere, but
Hard to see.
Okay. Oh well. It was
Well, that's an interesting lifestyle you have up there. So how do you make any money?
I'm really horrible at making it money. Katrina calls me an entrepreneur, so I specialize in entrepreneur.
That's a great term. Hey, talking of which, Katrina, we haven't even got onto this. This is the whole reason I wanted to talk to you today, because finally now, with all these people dying everywhere, your whole fantastic, what's it called? Fantastic casket.
FantasticCasket.com.
Yeah.
Fantastic casket?
Yes.
Yeah, .com.
Tell them what it is.
So it's artisan caskets and DIY plans to make caskets. And that's actually how I met my boyfriend, because he was running this artist residency, and I went out to Appalachia to create some patterns and sew different designs that people can do themselves.
I was gonna say he was dead. Sorry.
No, but
That's all I
but
meant.
if he were, I would take amazing care of him. And actually, one of the things I've been thinking about beyond Fantastic Casket is how are we going to have funeral rituals in this era of no gatherings when we really need to? And I've been thinking about, like, I wonder who out there is starting to develop online platforms for funerals. And I have seen that certain funeral homes are starting to love stream the funerals. So I'm interested to see how we adapt to that.
But what is happening to the principle about the caskets is the Fantastic Casket is it's a do-it-yourself coffin.
Mhm.
So can you just describe
Sure.
exactly how the do-it-yourself coffin works?
Sure. Well, it can be made with different things. If someone has woodworking skills, then they could use that. The caskets I did out on John's property were fabric-based and were sort of a hybrid of a casket and a shroud. The goal beyond just creating these caskets is to create economic freedom for people from the funeral industry. So caskets are a very large expense for people and don't really have much technology to them. I mean, most people are paying for a casket what they would pay for a used car, and it doesn't really have many parts. I mean, it's just like a box. So
you just bury people in used cars.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You could bury
Kill two
like
birds with
4 or
one
5
stone.
people in each one.
Yeah.
We might have to.
Maybe
Yeah.
there's a
Well, I
special
think we're
lane
gonna
for
move.
that.
My prediction is that we activate alkaline hydrolysis at this point in our pandemic. I don't know if other people are aware of alkaline hydrolysis, but it's
Is that
the
like
most
melting?
exciting thing in the like death industry right now. And it actually like liquefies bodies. It's a water-based cremation, and it's currently legal in a couple states, and it's being used by veterinary clinics all the time.
Oh my God.
But it just hasn't been
How does it work, Katrina? What's the process?
So it's a giant tank that has water and lye and throws a electrical signal through it and mimics our own decomposition speeded up. So the way that a human body or any body will decompose in life is that the bacteria colonies that help us live our whole lives eventually turn around and break us down. So this mimics that and takes a body through, like they say, instead of a hot fire, it's a warm bath. It's much safer for technicians to operate. I don't know if you know many people who operate crematoriums, but ask them to show you their burns, because people do get hurt. Things fly out of the cremation, the ovens and things like that.
But like eyeballs and so on?
No, more like metal pieces that are stuck in people and stuff. Like they're supposed to remove things before they hand them off, and they don't, and it gets signed off.
Don't
And
they go into some sort of closed oven type thing? It's just like a open flame?
no, it's mostly closed, like a pizza
Bunsen burner.
oven.
That's what I thought. Anyway, you can't do this yourself at home.
No, not yet.
That's what I thought we were getting to.
A tub and a couple
Not
of things
yet.
of Drano.
Why would you
Katrina,
invite that into your
happens
home?
what happens to the goop after they've melted so much?
Well, actually, it just turns into water, and all that's left is bones, and it's completely sanitary. And the process has already been used by hospitals. And I actually called up the owner of the company that makes these machines, who has a huge business that operates, I think, in Indiana, and they do a lot of hospital sanitation work and processing, medical waste into things that can be put down the drain. So alkaline hydrolysis would enable us to have the safest way to process bodies.
I think that it has the consistency of hand sanitizer, and that gives me an idea.
I wonder. I've been dabbling with craft mixology, and I wonder if you know
Soylent
where I
Green.
can get some of this goop. I wonder if there might be a tasty cocktail to be made out of this.
What conversation did you have with this guy, Katrina, when you called him?
Well, I wrote him this letter that was sort of like a fan letter, and I told him how impressed I was and how I wanted to be part of his team and tell people about what he was doing. And at the time, I was teaching a workshop called Put the Fun in Funeral Planning. And when I would teach people about the different options that they had, by the end of the program, almost everyone was choosing alkaline hydrolysis based on the experience that would be, the cost, what that would mean in general. The problem was that hadn't been approved for human remains yet. So he actually called me one night and ended up sending me like death pics late at night of like clean bones coming out of some machine. And yeah, so I like made this friend.
Is he single, this guy?
I don't know. I didn't ask him, but it was a pretty intimate conversation.
Can you define death
He's
bone?
very single, Grant. Yes, he is very single.
Rich, what's the
Still,
question?
inexplicably, still single.
Well, I just want her to clarify what she meant by sending pictures of his death bone.
So like from the machines, like he would send me photos of like just beautiful bones, because the remains that are left in the machine are just these like highly polished white bones. And then they're put into what's it called? A cremulator, which is what crushes bones and makes ashes. I don't know if other people are aware, but the ashes that you receive from a cremation they don't actually look like that. They're actually just bones, and they put them in a cremulator and then they look like that.
Is that right?
These
so all your
remains
flesh is
look exactly
burned
like
off.
Oh my God.
Is this what you're saying? When you get cremated, all your flesh is burned and goes up in smoke, and what's left is the bones, and the bones are crushed, and that's what you get from
Yeah.
crematorium?
Because
That's all you get.
if you didn't burn it first, you would gum up the cremulator, right? You have to burn it first.
Right.
Otherwise,
Taking a dark turn, don't you think?
No,
I thought
this
your
is very
ashes were
exciting.
your actual ashes.
I just want to make sure I'm keeping responsible upkeep of my cremulator. So
Yeah.
It
One
gets gummed up
body at a time. Don't mix it. That's not fair.
not
Can you
cool.
share? Is that hygienic to share this
Ooh.
stuff, or
This information?
no? The cremulator.
Oh, okay.
We
Well,
gotta
that's
be
a good
careful.
point. After you get liquefied and only your bones are left, do you throw the next person in, or do you have to take all that out and
Is
start?
it like a
over?
hot tub after a big party?
Yeah, good question, Rube.
It looks like a giant tank, like a bit like almost like what's it called? Like those tanks, the iron lungs, like something like that. And so everything is cleaned out at the end, and everything is 100% sanitized by the end.
Or you'll die. I mean, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't
Well, we're
have to
all
Very
going to
interesting.
die.
some sooner than Easter's
Like I said,
coming.
this is not a sort of a financial opportunity for you in the current situation, which I thought the fantastic casket might be.
Maybe we can plug that into Neomodern somehow.
Yeah, I'm thinking about how I'm going to make money in this moment, because it is scary and all my gigs have canceled. So it's, definitely a time to rethink what businesses we're all in and how we share our art with the world and who our customers are going to be. The last couple of days I've been making masks for hospital workers. Here's one of them.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And so I've been getting like tons of requests for those. At some point when I'm done donating them, I guess I'll start selling those. And I also have some writing projects I'm working on, and I have at some point, like this week, I have a certain sort of messaging that I'm using with the media about projects, but coming soon, I have some new projects that are very much related to the homeschooling world right now, and bringing kids into art together to co-create, and how do we curate art together into shows and share it.
Well, that's interesting, and that sort of ties into what Rube's talking about as well there.
I think that I have to say the disaster of the pandemic does create a lot of interesting market shifts. It's a great if you're like second or third as a competitor in some space, the disruption gives you they're like someone else might be more established in the wrong direction, and you're in a better position to sort of pivot, try something more radical. I always find these kinds of weird moments cool opportunities to try to be creative, to figure out.
Have you ever been in a weird moment like this, Rube?
Well, not quite like this, but we had like earthquakes in LA. Remember, like things got fucked up.
So you think we should take this as an opportunity?
Well, I think you have no choice but to take it as an opportunity. Like things are changing, and you can either be wed to the way things were and just sort of wait for it to go back the way it was, or you can just see this as day one of a new world order and try to figure out how, in this world, how do you kind of figure out how to capitalize on it and make a living or provide some valuable service. You know, if you can start doing it for free now when it's small and easy and people need it, and you can figure it out. And then as the world kind of stabilizes, you start to figure out what expertise you got and how to spin that out.
Hey, you know what? That's an uplifting piece of advice to go out on, Rube.
Oh, good.
Thanks very much. We've come to the end of the hour of happy hour. We could actually stay here for another hour or two because no one's got anything to do, right? But
I'll hang with y'all.
I've got to go walk the dog. Hey, Asher, what are you doing in Arkansas there after this?
We've got, I mean, I think we're going to go walk to a creek.
Nice. It's too good to be true. Rubin, you're stuck there.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you asked earlier if anybody was still enjoying this. I'm frankly having a blast right now.
Well, that's great that you're doing something good, that you're one person who's enjoying it. Thank God for that. There's somebody. Mike, Rubin, you're getting back to writing your book.
Yeah, I think that's what I mean, I'm always coming up with new ways to not be working on it, but I still end up with a good, 6 or 7 hours a day plugging away at it.
That's awesome if you can pull that off. So that's going to be worth it. Katrina, you're making masks and coming up with a whole new business.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. Rich, what are you doing?
I am right now I still am working full time for New Orleans Magazine. I was doing it while we were on the conference call. I guess you guys just gave me a good idea. The idea about I write a lot of stuff for the business publication, and the thought of looking for the silver linings and the people who are getting opportunities as a result of this situation is a good angle. But I'm doing that. I'm getting ready to hopefully start rehearsing again for all my Jazz Fest stuff, and then all the movers gigs that got canceled for March, April, we're hopefully going to get them scheduled for the fall and go. I was supposed to actually be in Asia next month, but so hopefully we'll do that in the fall instead.
When is Jazz Fest supposed to be?
Don't know. October maybe.
October now.
And you think
same as the
this
Olympics
can't continue till October? Although it may be over, but they still would not have big groups. That's possible.
By October?
Well, I mean, what's probably going to happen is there's going to be these flare-ups, and then it gets under control by quarantine, and then there'll be little flare-ups in cities periodically over the next year, probably.
Right,
and
like Knoxville, Tennessee.
Yeah, and then they'll have to lock it down for a few weeks to try to, for 2 weeks to try to slow it down, or the people who've not caught it will go home, and the people who've had it can be running things. I say we just let all the kids run everything and slowly let older people back in the workforce. That's my thinking.
That's a good plan. Hey, listen, everybody, thanks for joining us, all these people who showed up as a result of our Zoom meeting.
Thanks, Jonah.
Invitation. And especially to Rich Collins, Katrina Breeze, and Mike Rubin for joining us here on Happy Hour. That's Happy Hour for another week. I guess we'll see you back here next week, do you think? We're still going to be
check
alive?
my calendar.
How many people on the screen are going to be dead by this time next week?
I was gonna ask how long those caskets take to make. If
That's
I should
really not
start
funny.
planning now, my father figures.
My money's on Thomas.
Go on fantasticcasket.com, and there's some patterns. It sort of has to do with how fast you can sew, but definitely one day.
Okay.
Perfect, Jonah.
Okay, Jonah. Good idea. You can make a casket in a day. Hey, we're out of here. The producer of our show is Graham DePonte. Our music producer is Monique Pyle. And our music consultant is Christian Unruh. Thomas Walsh is our technical director. Asher Griffith is our Facebook live feed director normally, but actually today he's just shoveling out chicken shit. Our fact checker and social media connector is Andrew Searock. Our theme music was written by and is currently being played by Mitch Foreman. If you'd like to be on our show and can stay upright at home while drinking alcohol for about an hour, drop us a line. Our address is on our website. It's neworleans.com. You can also check out many other happy hours that we made previous to this one, and we can still actually gather in groups. as well as some other shows we still make around here, including Out to Lunch with Peter Raschuti, Louisiana Eats with Poppy Tucker, and our award-winning podcast about death, which has finally come into its own, called Death the Podcast. You can also find other great Louisiana podcasts at itsacadiana.com and at itsbatonrouge.la. And you can keep up with us on a bunch of time-sucking social media between shows like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And you can find those links on our website, itsneworleans.com. You can find photos from this show, believe it or not, on itsneworleans.com and on our It's New Orleans Happy Hour Facebook page. These photos were taken remotely today by Jill LaFleur, and you can find more of Jill's photos at lafleurphoto.com. If you're listening to this on your favorite podcast app, thanks for subscribing to us. If your podcast app has a share option, try telling a couple of your housebound friends to listen to Happy Hour as well. Our show was recorded live today on Zoom. Happy Hour's production of INO Broadcasting for itsneworleans.com. For Andrew Duhon, all of our Happy Hour crew marooned in their houses who are here on Zoom, thanks for joining us. I'm Grant Morris. Please stay home and stay safe, and I'll see you back here next week for more Happy Hour. Wow. Good job, everybody.
Great to see all of you, as usual.
Cool to see you, Brad.
Yeah, Asher, good to see you, man.
Yeah.
Thomas, thank you. Katrina, thank you. Rube, thank you.
Awesome. See you later, man.
Bye, everybody.